So welcome back, and this is part 2 of this laptop deal that I had. So previously, on part 1, I was on the Facebook Marketplace, and they had this Dell G5, and also this Inspiron G15, or whatever it is. It's right over here, and both of these laptops were listed for $25 each. Initially, I was only interested in this one, and I didn't know the other one was listed, and the lady said, hey, if you could get here in 10 minutes, you can have it. I have a bunch of offers on it. I was like, okay. And when I got there, she was like, I have 2. If you want to take them both, you can. So I said, I'll give you 40 for both. And she was like, cool. And I wound up with these laptops. So she said they work, but they didn't have the chargers. And in the previous video, we learned that this one works, but I only had a 90-watt universal one, but the screen came on, so we were good to go on that one. And I imagine with the same thing with that one, as they use the same charger, we need 130 watts. I think it's 6.7 amps for the charger. And we should be able to get this thing going. But even though these things were pretty cheap, they were cheap for a reason. And if you've noticed this, it looks a lot better if you watch part 1. This thing was completely yellow, and every time I wiped it, it kept on wiping off nicotine. Great. So this was in a heavy smoker environment, and as you can see on the back, I don't know if I turn the light off here to do it justice. Maybe. But as you can see, it's yellowed, and I have wiped this some. But the issue with that is that even though I get the charger and it has some good specs, it's yellowed. It still has the slight odor, and it might be a task to sell. So in this video, we're going to take this apart, try to scrub it, and show you guys some tips that if you run into this, this might be able to help you. So we are putting the chicken before the horse, before the cart. I forget what that saying is, but anywho's. In the sense that, yeah, it powered on, we got a screen, but we still don't know, is the graphics card dead? Is there anything else dead with it? But I figure I'd go ahead and try to clean this because it's driving me nuts. And once those chargers get here, all we got to do is plug it up, test everything, but then if nothing works, we wasted our time, but it's fine. So what I like to do is I like to wipe these things down with isopropyl alcohol, which I've already done, and use a magic eraser and kind of scrub this. Now these are, this is supposed to be white, and I've seen this with the silver laptops. By doing this, this actually brings it back, kind of, restore it around to a nice factory finish. So we could take this to the car shows and the car meets. Oh wait, wrong channel. That's my other channel. So we could take this out and about, go to Starbucks, and people don't judge us on how nasty our laptop looks. So all we're doing is just wiping it, and as you can see, it's kind of getting even more nasty. But it's taking off that layer of the nicotine on it. And like I said, this was a lot worse. I kind of just did this just to get started. And you can use water, but the isopropyl alcohol is kind of breaking down that nastiness off of it. And also, it kind of helps with the odor. And also with the isopropyl alcohol, it evaporates, which is good because if it gets into a crevice, I don't have to worry too much about, things getting shorted out. Now, this is starting to look better and it feels good. So as you can see in here, it kind of has this junk in here. So we're going to take a toothpick and get all that stuff out. Toothpick, magic eraser, isopropyl alcohol, and Q-tips are going to be your best friend for this. So I'll show you. Well, I think it flung out somewhere. Yeah, as you can see, that junk is coming out. But it's looking a lot better already. And what I'll do is spray a little bit of that just to kind of, agitate it, clean it. And a microfiber towel is your friend. That's another thing I like to use. Now this crevice in here, we also have some nicotine residue. And this will get in there and get rid of that. Now that we've scrubbed everything off, let's just wipe it with the microfiber towel. Just kind of smooth it out. And as you can see, that looks a lot better. It looks like a used laptop, which is fine. There's nothing we can do about these deep scratches, but it doesn't look yellow. And it smells like isopropyl alcohol instead of, smoke. So now we're on to this side, which I'm not sure how well we're going to be able to kind of make this look better, but we're going to try. So the same process, just spray it, everything down. Magic eraser. And we're just going to keep going to town. The whole point is to kind of get rid of that obvious yellowness that this thing is just so soaked in. Oh yeah, it's starting to look a lot better. And she's starting to come around and look pretty decent, so let me work more on that off camera and I'll show you the final result. Alright, so it looks way better. I mean, it's not perfect. Instead of looking like a smoker infested laptop, it just looks like one that's a little worn out. We could keep going and we could keep buffing on this, but I think this is going to be good enough for what we're trying to do. Now, I forgot to record this. I don't know if I got any shots, but this was really disgusting, really yellow. And as I got into it with that magic eraser, you can see how yellow it is, and the same thing with this. Now we need to get into the guts because, well, yeah, that has the same issues. So back at this, this is not terribly terrible, but we need to take a good chunk out. The heat sinks need to come out. They need to be washed. I already loosened them up in the last video. I think I just tightened it just to test this thing. But at this point, I think it's worth diving in, giving this thing a really good cleaning. The biggest issue that I'm going to have is these fans, as well, they're kicked up pretty good. And I might just pick up a new set. I might try to see if I can save them. They were frozen before, but they feel a lot better, but they still feel a little crunchy in here, so not sure if we'd be able to bring them around. But as you can see, where it's just been inhaling all that smoke vapors. Now this stuff has been wiped. It's been wiped a lot better than before, but we need to dive in a lot deeper and wipe stuff down even more. And my plan is to get this board out. Once we get this board out, I could take all this, wipe all this stuff out, and probably get rid of all this gunk. This is where a lot of the smell is going to be. It's just being caked up right over here. So I think we have a chance. Fortunately, this is fairly simple to do. As far as this one, I think the other one's going to be a little more involved. Well, that's something you never want to see when you open up a computer. Roach infestation. And the motherboard has some things that are concerning. A couple of dead ones there. A little bit of green crusty there. Oh boy. I mean, it powered up. But just because it powered up doesn't mean everything works on it, so. Oh, yeah. Hey, it's the risk you take. Do what you gotta do. So let's get a vacuum and just clean these dead guys up. I think the easiest way to do this is actually going to be just break up their dead carcass and just shake them out. Yep, that was easier. So what we're going to have to do is clean this up pretty good. And the best way, honestly, to do it is to soak it down with the alcohol. And just give it a good scrub. I'm concerned because you can probably see it right over here. It's got some green crusties there. And that's actually for one of the RAM stick modules, well, where it sits. Alright, so the motherboard is looking better, good enough. So we'll just have to kind of deal with that and hope for the best. I mean, it worked when I, gave it 90 watts. Don't know what it's going to do when I give it 130 watts, but a guy could be optimistic. So now for this heat sink, the best way to do it is just going to be dump it in dish soap and dish water, or some type of soapy substance. I'm just gonna throw it in the sink and let it happen. Now, as far as these foam pieces, these are just junk. Number one, they're deteriorating, and number two, they're just coated with cigarette smoke. So these are gonna just have to go. And I know these are for like directing airflow and everything. The easiest way to do it is to take a piece of some tape, and it works really well. And I'll show you later on in the video. I've done that 1,000,001 times, and I've never had one come back and bite me in the butt. But like I said, this has to go, or we'll have that remnants of the smoke. Let's do that. Let's try to get some of these blue pads, which they're really thin. We're not going to be able to reuse them, but I do have something that will work. All right, so this is going to be the concerning factor, because number one, I really can't get this thing open. As you can see, these are like kind of pressed and melted. I did price them online. They're actually pretty cheap. I could get them for like $5 each, but we're not sure exactly if this is going to be worth it. So the best thing to do right now is just try to clean it, see if we can restore it. Who knows, this thing might come around. If it does, we'll be good. You can see all that nicotine is somewhat melting off. I mean, ugh. Yes, and I'm sure people are saying, oh, you should be wearing gloves, and yeah, you're right, but I do gotta shower up later, and I'm guessing with the isopropyl alcohol it cancels itself out. I don't know. But yes, you probably should wear gloves when doing this. It's starting to move a lot freer the more I tinker with it. It's this junk in here which is creating our issues. Yeah, this thing is pretty gross. See? I think once we get all this junk out, I think we're going to be okay. Yeah, this thing is freeing up nice. Just blow this off camera. Oh, this is spinning freely. I think we're going to be able to save this, folks, which, that's awesome. I mean, the whole point of this is just save $1. And I can tell you what, cleaning this with the isopropyl alcohol, that odor is going away little by little. So we're looking like we're going to be in good shape. All right, cool. So let me go ahead and clean the other one. So we're slowly making progress. Now the question is, how far do we go down the rabbit hole? And at this point, we're going straight down it. The fans came back to life. They feel nice and smooth, so I'm good with that. But I'm thinking we need to just go ahead and just take all this out, because, well, roach poop and the smell and everything, and yeah. I didn't think we have to go down this far, but it's fine. Now, as far as the screen, I am not going to take that apart. Reason being is because most of the nasty stuff is here. The screen actually looks perfect. The bezel looks good, so I'm not worried about that, which saves a lot of headache. But it's mostly this area where it sits on the lap, and of course the keyboard, that we just got to take everything apart. But I will say, working on this laptop is really easy. Alright. It's actually not terrible here, so that's pretty good. We could definitely wipe this off, take off this battery. Ideally, replace the battery, but I don't have one. So we're just not going to do that. Okay, okay. And this is why, because now I can take a brush and really get in these crevices and clean all this stuff out. And honestly, removing that, the smell just came on fierce. So we know where the smell is at. Now taking a look, as you can see, yeah, they were not friendly with this laptop. Now I'm even more concerned because it looks like some spill action in here. And the question is, does the keyboard even work? Guess we'll find out. So I went ahead and just put some paper towels underneath, tripled the amount that I used. And what we're gonna do is just spray the toothbrush just like so. And just lightly scrub. So we're slowly getting there. Now I'm on the keyboard, just spraying this down with the alcohol, scrubbing in between it. Same thing. The thing is pretty nasty. Forgot to turn the camera on. Primarily because I had a guy come on and buy a computer for me. Well, a laptop. Had another laptop, not smoker infested, but another one I had to get sold. So usually when that happens, I always forget to turn the camera back on. But it's all good. So working on the screen, and yeah, using some screen cleaner. Yellow. You know, I've worked on a lot of smokers' computers, but I would dare say this is actually, you know what? In fact, this is the worst I've ever had. I mean, it's looking a lot better. I'm gonna keep wiping this stuff off, try to get as much as I can. See what I mean? I've cleaned this 3 times and still I'm pulling yellow nicotine stuff off of it. So I'm gonna keep working on this more off camera. Then we come back, we should be able to put this thing back together. We've dove deep into this. It's put back together. It smells way better. Slight odor. I think that will work itself out with time. Only one casualty, the end button, but it's just really brittle. So now I need to find the plug adapter. I think it was M22 or M9. It's a universal. It's only a 90 watt, but we learned in the last video that it will boot up and it will at least tell us that we need 130 watts. It's backup, it's running. It's also giving me the error for the 90 watt adapter, but at least it's booted and it's on. And like I said, missing that button, but the backlight keys work. Thing actually looks pretty good. Let's go to BIOS setup. Will at least let me go in there. I'm not sure how much it's going to let me do because, well, I don't have 130 watts. Okay. Screen is looking good. So it's picking up the memory, 8 gigs. Oh no, this is an i5 8300H. I was really hoping this was the i7. That sucks. But still pretty decent for what it is. Boot information, battery's not installed, obviously. Oh no, it gets even worse. This, folks, is a 1050 Ti. Okay, so what I thought I could sell it for, not good. Can I still make money on it? Yes, but I was really hoping this was the 2060 with the i7. I guess I put in the numbers wrong or something, but it's okay. Still has an M.2, still has a 1 terabyte. Okay, so it's not booting into Windows. It keeps just right here. I think a fresh copy should hopefully resolve that. And also, I'm not running the proper power supply on that. So that should be here in a couple of days. When that gets in here, I'll try it, see if it does boot. If not, we'll just try to do a fresh copy of Windows, and we should be good on that one. Now, as far as this other laptop, here's my thoughts. I'm not going to record going deep into cleaning this one, as like I said, this is not a dedicated how to clean each model laptop, but just give you an idea of how to clean these and restore these. So in a couple of days, which for you guys will be the next scene, I should have the power adapter. We will be able to find out if this thing works 100%. Unfortunately, 1050 Ti and an i5 8th gen, lame. but still okay. And then when the power adapter comes in, we'll be able to fire that one up before we even dive into it to make sure that it does work. And then we could see, was this really worth it? So far, it's been a lot of work, but still, there might be meat on the bones. So we'll be back. Well, a week later, and we got our charger. Not too bad, $10. Got it on eBay, one of those new used, but then again, I don't think this is original because it doesn't say Dell, but it's 130 watts and it has the 6.7 amps. So let's get started with this one, see if this one fires up. I went ahead and took the M.2 out of it and cloned a version of Windows that I had that should work with this. That way I don't have to sit here and deal with the installation for like 20 hours. So that should be good. All right. And we'll also clean this up more off camera. Doesn't look too bad. So let's fire it up. This thing is acting weird. I think the battery is toast on it. I went ahead and put the battery in to kind of see if it would charge it. And it's not. So let's take the battery out. And we're up and running. Of course, time of day not set. I think the little CMOS battery on it is going bad. So we'll have to fix that up. But we're just going to continue. Probably gotta set the time of day. Dadgummit. Alright, we're loading. Well, this is not good. Getting tons of blue screen, stop code, IO, a whole bunch of stuff. It's boot looping. I spent a little time off camera trying to reinstall Windows, and I think this thing is fried. Keeps doing that. It does nothing. 3 copies of Windows later. Windows 10 even. Yeah, she's not working, so that's rather unfortunate. Let's move on to this one and let's see if this has any hope. Alright, so this one, I haven't really done anything to it. In fact, I haven't done nothing to it. This mine is taking it apart. We only took out the battery just to see if the battery is causing us issues or anything. Let's fire up, see what it does. I don't know how we can see that. Get the power light. Can we get a screen? And it shut off. What is going on with these Dells? The fact that they're junk and they don't work, but let's try it again. Will it even turn on? All right. Turn this light off so you can see. Oh boy, this ain't looking good. Well, unfortunately, this one's a dud too. And this one, I had high hopes for it, but unfortunately, it's not working. I was really thinking that we could get this one squared away, but I don't know. Every time you install Windows, I've done Windows 10, I've done Windows 11 on it. It's like it goes to initialize something, and when it installs the driver or whatever hardware that might be not good on the motherboard, it keeps doing that whole blue screen of death and then boot looping. And that's unfortunate because this one seemed promising, but at this point, I don't think there's not much that else I can do for it, because if you can't get it to install Windows, and it's always at the same point regardless of what you're doing. I did try different storage drives. I tried unplugging the hard disk drive, swapping out to different memory. So I've ruled out all this over here. So the problem is something in the board that's gotten shorted or damaged, and realistically this thing is really hot right here, so that's unfortunate. So probably a short. I mean, there was a little roach action on it, the smoker damage, and who knows, maybe there's some spill action that happened, and that's the gamble you take. But for this, we'll have an M.2, we'll have 16 gigs of memory. I actually did add this memory to see if that was something else. Well, 8 gigs of memory. So we got 16 gigs of DDR4, folks. A 128 gig M.2 and a 1 terabyte mechanical drive. And yeah, we missed the mark on this one. So with the $40 investment that I paid for it, yes, it was a gamble. Even if one of them would have worked, I could have recouped, but then I quickly learned that this was not the i7 flavor that I was hoping for. It was only the i5, which I still could have probably sold it for about $120 to $150 had everything worked. Unfortunately, this one doesn't work, so we're no good. Same thing over here. I'm not gonna even bother taking it apart. As you can see, the whole nicotine and everything. I'm just, yeah. Is there any hope for it? Well, The M.2, I mean, that's like 10 bucks. The memory, that's 10 bucks. So out of a $40 investment, I can make $20. Great. Well, maybe 30. I think it's like $10 a chip on this. So yeah, we definitely did not win. That's the gamble you take. Sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some, but either way, it was still fun. Got a couple of extra parts, even though I paid more than what they're worth, but it is what it is, and you move on. So comment down below, let me know your thoughts, concerns, criticisms, your experiences going out buying used, and have you run into this where you thought you were winning, but then you find out you were losing? Any suggestions or anything you think I missed that could have potentially saved these laptops? If you like this video, definitely hit the like button, subscribe if you're not, and as always, we'll see what we come up with next.